Not so sure Bruce wasn't the head guy and I was right in there.
Bruce.
But he was an instigator. He created a lot of the problems. I think as my history goes back, I grew up on a farm in Bemidji, Minnesota. And in 1950, I moved from the farm. My dad bought the Woodland store in Lake George. And in 1952, he built a wigwam. Have you ever been to Lake George and seen the wigwam? Well, he built that in 1952. And I think the start of my desired home slot machine started in 1950 because there was an old diamond front, Watling maybe. Anyway, there was a slot machine in one of the garages back there. And of course, I was 5 years old and I saw all those nickels in that slot machine and I was going to have them. And so I tore that slot machine apart from top to bottom till I got all the nickels out of it. I wish I still had the parts, but I guess it's too late for that. And so in 1955, we moved, my dad and my family moved back to Bemidji. And, well, from there, I got in the furniture business in 1960. I graduated from high school in 64, and I started, the very first furniture store was in Park Rapids in 1964. And then in 1966, I opened up Gary's Furniture here in Frazee. In 1969, I opened up Gary's Furniture in Pelican Rapids. Well, as the old saying goes, in my lifetime, I've been held up and I've been held down. I've been talked to, I've been talked about. I've been stuck for income tax, sales tax, dog tags, and bonds of matrimony more than once. I've been from Maine to Spokane. I've been from the Indies to my Andes and my Undies. I've been to 7 World Fairs, an all-colored rodeo, and a goat breeding contest. I'm using some different verbiage here. And that's the fact check. And with my mouth, I was able to, Bruce and I, we would go on trips. We would take number 33, one of our delivery trucks. And I had the ability to, whatever bar or old building we went into, I could talk myself into getting up into the attics or down into the basements or whatever, and that's how a lot of this stuff, how we found a lot of this stuff. And so I started, I think the very first slot machine I had was that blue one with a castle in the front, called a Castle Club. And that was my first slot machine that I owned. And then from there, I would buy a slot machine when I had a chance to, and I would turn around and sell it, and I was able to keep selling them so that, I shouldn't tell my daughter this, I don't have a lot of money into this place. But it's worth a lot. But from buying and selling, I just never had a lot of expense. So then, I guess in when did I have the fire, Bruce?
It was in the 80s.
Wasn't it late 70s? Because I thought it was.
Well, but you had the Bronco. That was in 1980.
Yes.
And you'd had it for a year or so.
Yeah.
The house got hit by lightning,
yes,
which is what later caused the fire.
Yeah, the lightning hit the antenna up above this building. And when the electricity came down, I guess it's what they call a negative volt. And so the whole roof was, there was a hole going up, everything was splintered out. And then I had that repaired. And some years later, I had a fella that come out here and wanted to sell me a slot machine. So I brought him out here and we sat the slot machine on the floor over here. And we looked it over and I went to click one of the light switches on and a breaker broke. So I went down, clicked it again. And pretty soon that breaker broke again. Well, I just left it. So no, then when I left to go down to the store to pay him, I flicked it back on again. Then I was down the store, and it was at that point where I got a call from, who's the lady that 2 houses over.
Oh, Harker's. Sue.
Sue Harker gave me a call. And she said, "Hi, Gary, how's it going?" And I said, "Well, pretty good." She says, "Are any of your kids at home?" And I said, "No, there's nobody home at all." And she says, "Well, there's a fire in your home." And then I guess I'll let Bruce go from there.
Did he swear? Yeah. After you heard that?
I'm sure his stomach just went into it.
I was working for Gary at the store. It was, I believe it was March, but it was a really warm day, so we had the front and back door open, nice breeze going through there. As soon as the phone rang, I heard the fire alarm, the fire department whistle go, and I didn't put the two together. And Gary talking a little bit. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but he drops the phone. He runs out the front door, and he runs back in. He says, "Get everyone out to the house." Well, the carpet crews had just come in. So I went out back and I said, "Gary's house is on fire." "Yeah, right." "No, it's on fire." "Well, let's go to liquor store." "No, it's on fire, serious." So then we came out here and we started doing what we could.
They brought the furniture trucks out.
Yeah, and I know today you would never get away with doing what we were doing in here. I was running up and down the step. I knew the whole structure of the house, so I could tell them where to go, where the access points were. But I was carrying out slot machines. They'd ask me a question, I'd run down the stairs with another, and I'd throw it back to the truck and come running back up. Got a lot of
So
stuff
that's where all
out.
those nicks come from. You threw them in the back of the truck.
I fell down the steps. Tumble and roll. But, oh. Yeah,
So how much damage was there with the fire?
Oh, well, most of the damage was up here, and because Heather and Bricker, we stayed in our master bedroom that night, and there was smoke smell up there, but with the hole going up, and I believe Bruce Jacobs, Bruce told him where the attic hole to get into the attic was, and when Bruce opened that attic hole, I remember his helmet go flying up because of the updraft.
Wow.
But I think because of that, it took most of the smoke smell out of here. But it was, I don't remember how much it was. Fortunately, none of this stuff got damaged. It was structural.
But it was a lot smaller at that time, so there wasn't as much up here.
Because the bar used to sit.
This was,
This was a bedroom, and that was a bedroom.
Yep.
And
where'd the bar sit?
the bar was over.
Well, it was right, kind of running this way, right about here. This was the bedroom, so it was on the other side of the bedroom wall. But it was smaller, so there weren't all that many slot machines up here. But there was a lot of stuff to get out of here.
We got it out, and they took that pool table and they laid it on its edge, out on the balcony. And well, I got 2 guys and a girl to put this back together. And I guess these barn beams came from Burkett. He had an old barn out there. We don't know whether he owned it or not, but but he gave us the barn beams. And
So did you shoot any of these animals yourself?
a whole lot of them.
Most of them?
Yeah.
Well, I remember the armadillo. Of course, what did my dad need? He didn't need anything, but Barb gave him that for his birthday one year.
She brought it back from Mexico.
Yeah.
And so after the fire, then that's when you designed, like...
That's when this did not become, this was a bedroom, but that's when I turned this into the bigger part of the bar.
Okay.
And my bedroom sat over there, where the pain cave is.
Yes, because this was our master bedroom. And those are the, yeah, that's right. As I remember. Well, so then from there, Bruce and I, we take out 33, and we go out and hit all the bars in the country, and we get up in the attics and in the basements and all over, and I started buying this stuff up, and here we are today. One of the prime slot machine out here is that little Duke. I showed you where that is.
It's the one
This one?
With the like V in it. Yeah, right there. Yep.
That's a penny machine. If you put a penny in, you got a free bubble gum. Plus, you got to play it as a slot machine. And that came from the, I believe it was the Cozy Coach in Westbury, Minnesota. If everybody, do you know where Westbury is? It's still there.
Yeah.
But when they redid Highway 59, the Cozy Cove was destroyed. And I had heard by the grapevine that they had that, and I went out there and I talked to him. I think it was Bill. I can't remember who it was who owned it, but he wouldn't sell it to me until Highway 59 took his diner away from him. Then he come and saw me and said, "Okay, fine." And I bought it. That wasn't many of these saw machines I bought since then, but that's a prime piece of slot machine there.
Okay, so Dad, tell us about the
The Cougar.
Kruger. Yeah.
Well, I was in the furniture business and I had a lady come in and she wanted to buy some end tables. And we got to talking. Her husband had passed away and she said that she had that live cougar. Or not, well, she had a stuffed cougar, and of course that was fine with me. And so I created some end tables for the cougar. And I remember the first time we put the cougar up here was on the bar. And I remember Bricker came up here and turned the light on. He saw that cougar there. He didn't know quite what to think. And I don't exactly want to remember his reaction. So anyway, that's where that cougar came from.
Right. And then what hunting trip with Bruce did you slay the Ham's bear?
Oh, Bruce, where did that come from?
We bought it out of like a liquor store, but a private one. You know, I mean, not a city owned. But you made an offer, and oh yeah, I'll take that for it. So,
And those lock bucks, they came from right across the lake. You know where the tower is. You can see the lights at night.
Yeah.
Well, I used to hunt a lot of wood ducks in that pond. And of course it was in the fall and I was sneaking up on that pond. And I had my 12 gauge and I think I was using 6-shot or smaller because there was easy pickings. And I was walking by the cornfield and those 2 bucks got up. And I looked at them. I thought they were both alive at the time. Well, it seemed like I watched them for, probably 5 minutes. It's probably 15 seconds. But then I realized that one was alive and one was dead. And then the one that was alive wore out. And I said to myself, well, I'm never going to run into lock bucks again. So I shot him with 6-shot, which was illegal as can be.
I imagine, but yeah.
And then, not being a natural born outlaw, I necked him. Got their necks off because I had them and where they have to be caped. So you can get the fur all the way down like it is now. So that's where they came from. And then
And you threw them in the freezer for a couple months until deer season.
For a year or two, I put them in Ed Squirrel. He was a designer who worked for me. And I put him in his freezer out east of Frazee. And I left him there for a couple of years. And then when I finally decided to have him mounted, I had him mounted in Moorhead. Because I wasn't taking any chances to get my butt in the bind.
Yeah.
And so that's the story on those. We went back and I mentioned earlier that I stocked Weimer Lake. Well, a friend of mine by the name of Putz Mastilski, and probably a lot of you remember him, he was married to Diane Mastilski.
Yeah.
And he worked for the DNR. And we were out here one night, probably drinking a little more than we should have. And so we slept.
Because that never happens at the B-Ware Bar.
No way.
And the next morning, he got up and he went out to DNR and he had a solid truckload of walleye fingerlings that were scheduled to go into 3 Native American lakes. And he was hungover and I was hungover and I was out here. And so I said, let's bring them out here. We'll dump them in Weimer. So we pulled the DNR truck right up on the grade and dumped a solid truckload into Weimer Lake. And so anyway, I haven't been caught yet. I think I'm over the limitations. I don't know. I hope so. You know, what else? Some of the crazy things. So all these signs that you see to do with the DNR, they bear trap, danger, and all of them in the bathrooms and all over. I had a friend in Shrine. I think you probably met him. He's from Pelican Rapids, and he worked for the DNR for many years. And these are old signs that they didn't use anymore, and he had them in his garage. And so he said, "Gary, here, take this box." And so I did. That's why they're all out in the Kablundi bar, and that's where they came from. Now, let's see.
What about the punch boards? Talk about those and the Hitler one.
What other?
The Hitler punch board and the punch boards.
Oh, all of these punch boards. I was on a mission. I was up north. I had my 1980 Bronco, and all of these punch boards here.
I never knew that existed.
And I stopped at a bar and wanted to get up in the attic and whatever, and I wasn't successful. But he said, "I know a man. He was a judge." And I said, "Who has all of these punch boards, and he's had them for many, many years. I think he'd probably be ready to get rid of them." So I went to the house, and going down in the basement, you have a set of steps. But under the steps, you know, he had built it up and siding and stuff on it, and so we took the siding off, and that was all solid punch boards. And I don't remember what I paid for them. I'm sure I got a good deal. And so these are the Storscher punch boards all around here. Does everybody know what a punch board is?
Nope. No. You told me one time,
Yeah,
but a lot of people don't.
It's the first. Do we have one up here, Heather, that we used to?
Well, it's down there behind Jeff, so you just have to tell about it.
Anyway, you take these punch boards, and in the back, you open that up, and there's a little pointer in there. And you take that pointer, and you pay, this one was 10 cents. And you can push whatever button you want, whatever little hole, and out the back came a little piece of paper, and there would be numbers on it. And 102, 103, these numbers would signify how much you won. And it was, this was legal gaming when slot machines weren't legal. But it's kind of the first form of gaming here in Minnesota, started in the early 1900s. So that's what.
So the slot machines were legal in bars for a period of time?
They were until, when did Prohibition start? In the 30s? That's when you couldn't have liquor or gambling.
Sure, okay.
And then that didn't become legal again until.
Prohibition was the 20s, and when FDR took the office of the presidency in '33, he did away with Prohibition.
He got rid of Prohibition.
Yeah.
So then it was legal
the
from
20s.
until 33, then I became legal again. And we were not allowed to own slot machines until 1950, late 50s, and then they authorized if you had a slot machine that was 40 years or older, it was legal to own one in your home. And I can invite anybody into this bar and give them a drink or whatever, and they can gamble if they want to. But I cannot invite them into the bar, as of today's law, for the purpose of gambling. You know, all these slot machines, they all used to work for granddaughters or whatever, put pennies and dimes in the wrong slot, but they're all capable of getting them going again.
Okay, that's the end of part 1.